Gentlemen, I believe I have found a customer. Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Tekkit. In the last video, we got some oil and fuel production going. Now I need to find a way to deliver it to my, well, hopeful, potential customers. There's a village over there situated between two volcanoes and I'm sure they could use a load of oil and fuel. What for? I don't know, but they'll pay for it one way or another. Now, I could just load all this stuff into some buckets and use the same teleportation stuff we had done before. And that would probably be just perfectly fine. However, I think it would be fun to try and experiment a little bit with railcraft. Now, railcraft is something I haven't used in a very, very long time, primarily because I don't often think that it is worth the effort. Railcraft actually made it more difficult to make railroads than ever before. However, you can do more stuff with it once you do actually have it configured, so it adds a nice little challenge into the game. Now, of course, if you want to get some rails, there's one easy solution. You cheat, find the stuff you already found, and boom, there's a whole load of tracks. No need to go to any extra trouble. Bet you didn't think of that, did you, mod developers? Of course, now I have no idea how to get the heck out of here. I am kind of lost, but really, who cares, because I have the power of a red matter morning star. Seems good enough. Boom! Get out of my way. All this junk is not supposed to be here. Go away. Thank you. Coming through. Boom! Oh, I seem to have unleashed a tidal wave. Yeah, either way, I'm free. So, that got over a stack of tracks for really no effort. Bam! I can call it a day. Of course, I'm not actually going to end it there. That would be sort of ridiculous. So, we need to find a way how to create regular rails. How do we create tracks? Well, tracks are no longer simple wood and iron and stuff. You have to make standard rails and stone rail beds. Stone? Not wooden? Oh, yes, okay. What was I saying? Right, yes. So you have to create rail beds. What are those? They are wooden ties put together in a pattern. Wooden ties are made using wooden slabs with creosote oil. As far as I can tell, one oil per tie, and I need 4 of these to make one track. So I need a lot of this junk. And I mean a lot. As far as tracking, though, we also need standard rails. Standard rails, it lies when it says that you have to use shapeless crafting. This is a terrible strategy. Instead, you take some iron or some steel, and yes, steel is in the game now, and put it through a rolling machine, and that gets you some of the rails you'll need. So what are some of the things that we are going to need? Well, first and foremost, we are going to need a coke oven. Coke oven bricks individually are made by taking some regular bricks and some sand. And we'll need a lot of these because this is one of the first times, I think, that any Minecraft modder had ever added in multi-block structures that actually had a function. It was kind of a revolutionary concept. And now a lot of you people who are used to playing more modern versions of Minecraft, such as I guess Tinker's Construct and stuff like that, you're fully familiar with it. But this was a pretty revolutionary concept back in the day, so we're going to make a bunch of coke oven bricks using some of the materials that I've already prepared. That will do, and now we need to place a multi-block structure. Where do I want to put this? I'll put my blast furnace over here. So how about some coke furnaces over meow? Okay, so what we need to do then is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and do the same thing up here, leaving a single hollow space in the center, and then fill in the top like so. And look at this. Where'd this panel come from? It's freaking magic. Black magic. Burn the witch. No, but for real though, this is now a coke oven. And all we have to do is put in some, I don't know, charcoal, coal, something like that, and it will start turning into coke. Actually, let's take some wooden logs. This stuff will be fine. You have 2 options. You can take coal and put it in here, and it'll turn into coke, coal coke, which is pretty standard for a lot of rail-related stuff in real life, too. Or you can use logs and turn it into charcoal. But either way, the byproduct of this is it will create creosote oil as a byproduct, which we can use to create the rails, which you guys remember seeing earlier. So now that we've got a couple of those running, what's the next step? Well, if we want to create steel, and you don't absolutely have to, but if you do want to create steel, we're going to need a blast furnace. Blast furnace, let's see, requires some special bricks. This stuff is made with nether brick, soul sand, and magma cream, so all nether stuff. Alternatively, infernal bricks. which are made using more soul sand and nether bricks and stuff like that. So, not really sure why I would ever make infernal bricks, but yes, if you don't have any magma cream, well, no, you have to have magma cream no matter what. Never mind. Alright, so I guess we're going to the nether and ripping apart a fortress. How did you get inside of my bunker? Explain yourself. Now, you probably just walked in, right? Now you don't know how to get out. Feel kind of sorry for you, but I'm not going to help you. Oh, hello. Hang on. You want to play this game? We can play this game. Absolutely. Ugh. Oh, that was so close. Come here. Come here. Ugh. Dang it. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Come on. Stop bobbing and weaving. That should have hit. You know it. Now you're dead. Let's see. Can't imagine they would mind too much if I took a little nibble out of their bricks over here, right? Perfect. Let's grab some of you. Just a bunch. What is under my feet? Oh, there's posts. That would make things a little awkward now, wouldn't it? And then we just needed some of the soul sand. Something like this. We need to make a lot of these, unfortunately, so this is going to take a lot of materials. Fortunately, they each have EMC values, which means I could just condense them, and that will be a lot faster. Man, it's been a while since I've been in here. Interesting thing to note. It looks like the Morning Star does not just mine out the ores. You have to destroy like a huge block. Like so. Which is obviously not quite what I had in mind. So if you're hoping that the Morning Star is your solution to mining out nether ores, you will be sadly mistaken. There we go. Good stack of magma cream. Should be plenty. Now I need some soul sand. That'll be plenty. And then I need my nether brick. Doop, 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 doop. And that should be a-okay. Wonderful stuff. Hey, by the way, before I forget, I just want to show you guys how freaking powerful this whole EMC thing has been. Now that it's at full power. That's a lot of dark matter, guys. It's a lot of dark matter. So we're rolling in it right now. Things are going well. Okay, place this like so. That's plenty of blast furnace blocks. Actually, way more than I needed. Good lord, why did I do that? Alright, whatever. Anyway, so we're going to build this thing so that it is I think a 3x3. So, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like so. And it's basically the same concept, but it has to be one higher with 2 hollow spaces instead of 1. So if we do this... There we go. Now we have a blast furnace. So if we want to make this work, we have to throw in some, I don't know, charcoal or coke fuel, one of the two, only one of those two. And then put in some iron, and this is how you create steel. So let's go ahead and grab some of you. Charcoal should be fine. Now the problem with this is it takes a long dang time. The charcoal only lasts for a little while, and it takes a full 16 seconds to turn one iron ingot into a steel ingot, which is obviously really annoying. That's one of the reasons they encourage you to use the coke fuel, because it does last a lot longer inside of the blast furnace, but it's not absolutely necessary. And this is, again, one of the reasons I don't usually get into railcraft that much, because you need these big structures, and also, everything you want to do takes for freaking ever. Now, you may notice here that there's this little kind of droplet icon getting filled up gradually as we are using the coke oven. Once this thing gets to full, I think we get a creosote oil. So it's going to take like 4 charcoal to get smelted, maybe 3, but I think 4 to get 1 creosote oil. Takes a long time, so I think that they added in a new version to the game where you can instead simply smelt your own coal, and that's a faster way of getting creosote oil, rather than wait on the steel and on the coke. And lo and behold, we have 2 creosote oil. Much better solution. Let's see, I know I want to make some slabs real quick. A whole bunch of those should be fine. Okay, so if we do 1, 2, 3 with some creosote. Hey, look, a single wooden tie. That's amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, even though this does make things more complicated, Railcraft can be a fun mod. I'm not really trying to just rip on it. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. In fact, you can even set up some good high-speed rails, which are the fastest way to travel in the game that I am aware of. But I've never really had the patience to dive far into Railcraft simply because there are so many darn steps. I mean, the creosote oil makes sense. It's a way of treating the wood so that it has much longer lasting. It is actually a process of making rail tracks, or at least it used to be. So it's not like it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of smart. It's just, why go through the process of these big furnaces unless you're willing to wait hours to make a small stretch of track? No one wants to do that. Ain't nobody got time for that. It's ridiculous. So in the time it took us to get a stack and then some of creosote oil using furnaces, which are easier and cheaper to make, by the way, We still haven't gotten a single bottle out of this one coke oven. Do 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 ba da 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 do 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 ba do do. Oh my God, takes so long. Oh my God, we finally have one creosote oil from using the logs. And we got over 3 stacks using just the furnaces, keeping in mind, of course, that I built the furnaces after 2 of these were done. So in theory, you can get like 6 or 7 stacks of creosote oil from 4 furnaces in the time it takes to make frickin' 1! Now granted, coal coke does produce more. I think like every 2 coal coke you get like 1 creosote oil as opposed to 4, but it still takes way too long. It's absurd. Either way, the good news is I finally have a bunch of wooden ties. Okay, now that we have wooden ties, we need rails. How do you make rails? Well, it's not just bars in a simple pattern in a crafting bench. You need something called a rolling machine in order to extrude out the metal. That requires a crafting table, some pistons, and some iron. So let's do that now. Rolling machine. Hooray! Where do I want to place this? You know what? Because I don't like you, you go in the corner. Okay. Now we have a rolling machine. Now there are 3 different types of rails that you really can make. There's the standard rail, which I already showed you, which is steel or iron, depending on which one you want to use. Steel produces more rails, so that's certainly one thing in its favor. Could do some of that, or you can make advanced rail, which requires the rails you already have, plus some redstone and some gold in the rolling machine, or high-speed rail, which is steel, blaze powder, and gold. I'm not sure we're going to be using any of the high-speed rails. They literally go so fast that if you make a turn, you will explode if you haven't slowed down first. So that's something. But instead, I think I'll just take some of this iron. We'll put it through the rolling machine, kind of like so. And there's a bunch of standard rails. And by a bunch, I mean like a couple. All right, we have over a stack. Beautimous. Now, should be able to go to the crafting bench. We need to take some wooden ties, something like this. And then what was it? This, I think? This. Nope, what was it? Hang on. Track. Regular track. Oh, just 1 stone rail bed. Well, that's a mercy at the very least. All right, we'll do this, and boom. We just created a couple of stacks of track. So that's something at least. Again, far faster if you are able to find an abandoned mine shaft, just mine some out. But there we go. At least now we have a bunch of tracks we can use. Now, you may have already noticed over here that there are a lot of different options for creating some tracks. For example, the powered track, which uses advanced rail and some redstone, and it's basically the exact same thing you've seen in vanilla Minecraft. Something goes over it, as long as it's powered, it speeds it up. Hooray! By the way, these do have an EMC value, I just realized. Well, that makes things easier. Not all of these do, but still. There's a detector track, which uses regular rails and a pressure plate to create a signal. The boarding track, which I'm not too sure how that works. The holding track, one-way tracks, control tracks, gated one-way tracks, some suspended ones, which are just not that good. Disembarking, switch, junction, priming. I mean, really, they're trying to encourage you to create as much freaking stuff as possible. There's the high-speed booster tracks, transitions, switch tracks, boarding, blah, 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 blah. It's amazing. For our purposes, though, because I am far too lazy to bother with all the high-speed stuff and then try to speed up and then slow down, blah, 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 I think I'd rather just make some regular power track for now. And that's going to be redstone, stone rail beds, and the advanced rails, which again are redstone, gold, and regular rails. So let's make a couple of those. Okay, place a bit in here, and there we go. We have a couple of powered rails. I'll save the rest for a rainy day. Boom! And each one of these is worth 1 gold bar. Considering how many gold bars I had to use just to make the rails, it's probably better just to condense these all the time. Now, the other thing that you can do on top of making your mine carts, which I believe are made with just simple iron, so really nothing crazy there, what we want to do is create a liquid loader or something like that. What's it called? Yes, liquid loader. That's exactly what we want. So this thing is made using glass, a dispenser, which is a bow with redstone and cobblestone, and a detector tank. This detector tank uses bricks and a pressure plate. And the way that this thing is going to work is we can set some rail to go through here and have a dispenser or the liquid loader thing on top. It'll detect when a track with a tank comes through, and then it will fill it with whatever the liquid is before sending it off on its merry way. That's exactly what we want to do. So we'll just make something like this. Place these here. And now we have a couple of liquid loaders. The counterpart to this would be the liquid unloader, which detects something and then is like, hey, maybe we should remove the liquid, which is the exact same recipe but flipped. Dang, why did I have to build 2 of these? I should have just done 1. Darn it. Okay, there we go, and now we have the liquid unloaders. So, before I can really use these, though, I need to establish diplomatic relations with the natives and then start setting up track with their permission. Now, I do have to be careful how I approach these people. They've seen me building out these rails and are undoubtedly curious, but with me floating around with this kind of an armor, I probably look like some sort of benevolent god and they might frighten easily. Who could be their leader? Maybe you? You could be their leader? Okay. Hi! My name is Pravus. Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no idea what you're saying. You're a godless heathen and I don't have to understand you. But hey, that's okay, because guess what? I have a proposition for you and your people. Your curious tone implores that I continue. Yes, indeed, that rail system that's been built over there, that is my handiwork. I also happen to be the producer of oil and fuel, in abundance, in fact. You may have heard of oil and fuel, very valuable commodities for any industrial nation. My proposal is I would be happy to sell you some. What can I put you down for? Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no idea what you're saying, but it sounds pretty good, so here's what I'm gonna do then. I'm gonna go ahead and ship some off to you, and I expect to be paid in return. That guy's quite rude. Are you guys all like that? Oh, hi. So tell you what, I'll ship some your direction, as much as I'm able to basically send your way, and then you just pay me accordingly and all will be well. Great, sounds awesome. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention that I expect to be paid at least 1 diamond for every tank that has been delivered. And if you do not pay me accordingly, then I will return and kill your family and burn your village to the ground. Well, that sounds like consent to me. All right, I am excited. Cool, let's go ahead and get this thing set up. So if we're going to do this, then we need to go ahead and get some trains, fill them up with carts that can fill it with fuel, and then ship them off this direction. Now, there are a few tracks that are specifically designed for things like this. The one that comes to mind the most is the train holding track. Now, the way that this is going to work is when a cart runs over one, if there is no redstone signal applied, it comes to a lurching stop. If there is a redstone, then it gets shot off just like it's a powered track. This will be pretty useful for us. But let's go ahead and get our liquid loader in position. We're going to need some bricks or something. Could just use some blast furnace bricks. I can't imagine that going poorly. Okay, good. Yes, so we're going to place our liquid loader right here, and then we're going to place one of these train-holding tracks right underneath. And the way that this is going to work is we can configure this thing so that it will apply a redstone signal once it has met some sort of condition, and then whatever was behind under this track, it gets launched on its way. So the train arrives, it's empty, stops here because there's no redstone, fills up, this thing applies the signal, and then it gets shot off onto the tracks. And now we should be able to do something pretty similar right over here. This time we're going to use a liquid unloader, which if I place right here, I believe... Will it come out the top or does it have to be out the bottom? That's a good question. It might work at the top. Let's see. I want it to empty whatever it is and then send it through here. Do I even need wooden pipes? You know, I haven't tested this sort of thing out in a long dang time. For now, let's assume that this is going to work. Actually, wait. Nope. You know what? I bet you the pipe has to come through the top here. Hang on. Okay, something like that might work. So the only thing left to do then is to kind of test this setup. And for that, we are going to need some mine carts. Now, we should only need a couple of different kinds of minecarts. If we look these up here, regular minecarts only take 5 iron, or bronze if you want, or steel. You can get 2 minecarts if you use steel, actually. But iron's pretty easy to come by, so no big deal. We want to have a tank cart, which is a cart surrounded by glass. You'd think that that would encase the cart, but no, it couldn't just be so simple as having a cart with a tank over it. It had to be like this. Makes sense. The other thing that we want is an anchor cart, the idea being that we will have a traveling world anchor to follow whatever train we create so that it doesn't get lost off in a chunk somewhere and never make the delivery. This one is as simple as having a world anchor placed in a minecart. Don't know why all the others couldn't be that way. This one did, this one did, this one did, but tank carts? No, that's ridiculous. Okay, so now we have a tank cart, a world anchor, and then maybe like a little passenger cart over here too, just so that I can ride along if I feel like it. Now, I want these things all linked together so that they travel as one group rather than have to figure out some clever mechanism of launching them all at different times. How do we do that? Well, first things first, we need to make a crowbar. And if I'm going to do that, I need to find some roses so I can make some rose red dye. Anyone see a rose? Ah, there's a rose. That'll do just fine. Pick you up, and you. Thank you. We'll just place the roses here, grab some dye, then I need to get myself a couple of iron bars. Place like this, some red, and there we go. Now we have a crowbar. Hey, look, everybody. I'm Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. All right. With the crowbar, we should be able to just right-click on one cart and click on another, and you can see how they got closer together. Now they form one unit, a train. Do the same thing here, and there we go. It's an invisible link, but it's a link nonetheless. If I go pushing on this, there you go. See? Functions perfectly. Let gravity do its job there. All right, so if I push this thing all the way over here, yoink. Okay, now it is trapped on that block, and no matter what I do, it ain't going nowhere until it's received a redstone signal. So I suppose, really, the only thing left to do is to just test it out and see what happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on this engine and let her start filling up with fuel. Fire her up, Seymour, or whatever that name... Wait, no, what was the name from I Love Lucy? Heck if I frickin' remember. That show's old now. Oh, lovely. The gross yellow goop getting dumped up into this thing. Let's check and see how much... Well, it's filling up pretty reasonably. All right. I guess I'll just sit here and wait. I wonder if I'm going to hit my head on this thing. Just occurred to me. I might not be able to ride along with this thing the way that I hoped. Let's go ahead and just grab my carts and I'll manually place it and do that instead. Oh, and there it goes. All right, let's follow inside and see how we feel. Whee! Woo! This is the life, huh, guys? Bye! Now for the long wait. I think I'll just take a nice, comfortable nap right here. Well, that was fun, but now this thing is not actually unloading the way I wanted it to. Okay, it's not the end of the world. I think what I need to do then is just place it underneath, and that's going to solve the problem. So let's get all this junk out of the way. You guys need to, like... You need to stop what you're doing. Ah! So if we remove this, I think you can actually place the liquid unloader right on top of this, right here. And then I think we can place the rail here still. Let's see. First off, let's make sure, yes, we want it to empty. Okay. We're going to place you right... Yes, you can in fact do that. Seems a little bit unhygienic to have the fuel just dumping over the tracks into this tiny hole, but... Okay, whatever you want. That's what we'll do. Okay, let's route this thing around and try this one again, shall we? Get rid of you, get rid of you. Place a block. Place a spare piece of track. Alright, now let's get this thing back in position. Come here. No! No, you're completely off the rails now, aren't you? Literally. There we go. Oh no, I broke the link! Oh, Well, that's just... Okay. Alright, think we got it this time. Gah. Okay, and yes, indeed, it is now starting to drain. Perfect. Alright, so fuel should be delivered, and then as soon as this thing is done, it'll launch off again, and so the cycle repeats. And off it goes. Alright, so the last thing that I'm going to do then is I'm going to place some ender chests, which I crafted separately. These things are made using blaze rods, obsidian, a chest, an ender pearl, which has an EMC value, fortunately, and some wool. And what this will do, if I put an ender chest here and another one right here, for example, look at these colors right here, gray, gray, gray. Now, if I were to place, let's say, a minecart right here, inside here, hey look, now it's a minecart. These two chests are linked. They can teleport items between them as long as they have the correct codes on the top. So, that should make payment very convenient for these natives, I think, is what we'll call them. Yes. Alright, cool. That should send a message. Okay. Now we're set. Hey look, there goes the cart again. Whee! Well, that's pretty fun, and that is one of many different uses you can have for Railcraft. There's all sorts of different tools as far as loading and unloading. You can put bat boxes on there instead of liquid tanks, and if you really want to spend all the extra money and such, you could build the high-speed rails, which, again, run faster than flight. The downside is if something's in your way, and I don't mean just like a critter, or a broken track, or a fast turn. I mean like a single item dropped on the tracks and you hit it at high speeds, you'll explode. That's one of the reasons I don't want to use it. Expensive and dangerous. But either way, now we're set. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, then be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.